Hello, I'm Rexy Blue, and today I'm going to be doing Rexy versus Jurassic World franchise. I thought this would be a fun video to make, so I am making it. So yeah, the categories are too easy, basically just a light snack for Rexy, not really much of a fight. Then we have Rexy wins, which means Rexy wins. So yeah, 50-50 is, 50-50 Rexy, whether Rexy wins or not. Then I have Rexy struggles. Rexy is going to win the fight, but she is going to struggle to get the win. And then I have by teeth and claws, which basically means Rexy is going to win, but just barely, like maybe by a tooth or something. And then Rexy loses, that just means Rexy loses. And then I have should have said extinct, where Rexy, I think, really loses. So yeah, anyway, starting off with the list, we have Allosaurus, and I'm going to put in Rexy wins. Allosaurus is a large theropod dinosaur or carnivore, and well, both. But Rexy kind of just has everything else going for her. She's stronger or bigger. The only thing Allosaurus has over Rexy is probably agility. But that's not really going to make a difference in the fight. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to say, I'm using Rexy in her prime, so I'm going to be using everything we see from her in her prime and, assumptions, logical assumptions. And then, yeah. And also, I could just, everything she does when she's out of her prime, I would say in her prime she can do better. And this battle will be taking place in, an open battlefield, so it's a head-on challenge, and the dinosaurs are trying to kill each other, so yeah. So for Allosaurus versus Rexy, I say Rexy wins. Same story with the Carnotaurus. It has some armor, but we literally see Rexy actually take down this Carnotaurus in this picture anyway. The Indoraptor. That's one interesting because we see Rexy in her prime. She does take on a raptor and she wins fairly easy, but we actually do see she does take quite a bit of damage from the raptor. So yeah, of course the Indoraptor is supposed to be a more enhanced raptor, more durable, stronger, and smarter raptor. But we do see in Fallen Kingdom that Blue the Velociraptor does 1v1 the Indoraptor and kind of kicks his ass, honestly. I would honestly say Blue was winning that fight. The Indoraptor got his ass kicked. So, since we see the performance the Indoraptor does against Blue, and, the Indoraptor is going to be fighting Rexy, who is stronger than Blue. She's not more agile than Blue, but she's sure more stronger than Blue, and Blue was kind of kicking Indoraptor's ass. I'm going to put Rexy wins. I don't know. I feel like lore-wise, the Indoraptor should put up a better fight, maybe in Rexy's struggles. But from what we see on screen, honestly, I'm going to have to put Indoraptor or Rexy wins. Maybe it's because the Indoraptor was in her cage for a long time. But yeah, I'm going to say Rexy wins. The big one. Rexy wins. We see that fight. Blue the Velociraptor. I wasn't sure if I should put her on the list because she is just a raptor. But, all-star dinosaur. Anyway, she goes in, Rexy wins. Parasaurolophus. Sadly, Rexy wins. I love pears. Mamenchisaurus. Now, this one's interesting because I'm going to put Mamenchisaurus in. Rexy loses. And the main reason why Rexy loses is because the Mamenchisaurus is a giant sauropod. It's really hard. The Mamenchisaurus is even bigger than Rexy. He even might make Rexy look like a compy or something. So, yeah, the only way to really win against a sauropod in a 1v1 is by also being a sauropod. So, yeah, Rexy is going to lose there, sadly. Pachycephalosaurus. I'm putting Rexy wins. I kind of want to put in Rexy, or too easy, but I think his attitude puts him in Rexy wins. He might stub her toe or something. And then we have I almost said Ceratops. We have the Triceratops from Jurassic Park. Now, Rexy in her prime probably did encounter a Triceratops. She was on Isla Nublar for a while before getting out of her prime, before Jurassic World happened, which is still in Isla Nublar. Right? I mean in the wild. And yeah. Now, I know in real life, I would say this is a 50-50 in real life, but in the Jurassic Park franchise, where do I see on this? Well, the T-Rex is in similar size, I don't think weight though, to its real life counterpart, and I believe the Triceratops in Jurassic Park is slightly smaller and maybe even less heavier than its real life counterpart. But I still don't think it's 50-50. I still do think it is. We see these guys actually fight in the video game Jurassic Park, the game, I think, by Telltale. That's a cool fight, but yeah, I think it's 50-50. I think Rexy could win, but I also think the Triceratops could win. Again, 50-50, just like real life. And then we have the Gallimimus. I'm going to put this one too easy. We see this happen on screen, so yeah, just too easy. Literally a light snack for Rexy. Brachiosaurus, same reason the Mamenchisaurus wins. You can't fight a sauropod in a 1v1 unless if you are also a sauropod. So yeah, Dilophosaurus, but put Rexy wins. I know this Venom might do something, but probably nothing. Compy, Rexy, too easy. Even lighter in a snack. It's like a crumb on the ground. I'm sorry, Compy, because I love Compies. So yeah. Pteranodon, I'm going to put him, his durability sucks, but I'm going to put him in Rexy wins just because he can fly. So yeah, Ceratosaurus, love Ceratosaurus, Jurassic Park 3 introduced me to Ceratosaurus. sadly, or not sadly because it's a video about Rexy, Stratosaurus will go in Rexy wins. Dimorphodon 2 will go in Rexy wins, not going to put him much of a fight. Sticky Moloch, I'm going to put him in Rexy wins. You know, I don't know. Again, he also might sub Rexy's other toe, so yeah. Baryonyx, Rexy wins. Mosasaurus, not much to say. If this battle is on land, then I guess Rexy may be able to win, but I guess, well, I said the battlefield is taking place on land, right? No, I'm just gonna put a show state extinct. Okay, Mosasaurus is the only exception where the battle takes place on the beach, and Rexy just loses. I can't put the Mosasaurus anywhere else on here, so yeah, maybe he's too easy, but no. Atrociraptor, again, just a slightly buffier raptor, so I'm gonna put him there. Morris Intrepidus, gonna put you there. Pyraptor, gonna put you there. Lysosaurus, too easy. Now Dimetrodon. I was thinking of putting Dimetrodon too easy, just because I'm pretty sure they're really slow and small, and I guess you could bite Rexy's, like, remaining toes, but I don't think he can really do anything. I don't think he can even, like, get away. Like, at least the Raptors have, like, agility on their side. The not the Indominus. The Dimetrodon doesn't even have that on their side, so yeah. Quetzalcoatlus. I'm gonna put Quetzalcoatlus in Rexy Struggles. It doesn't have anywhere near the durability that Rexy does, but it does have quite size, not weight, but size. I think it's actually quite a bit taller than Rexy, and the fact that it can fly. So yeah, I think the Quetzalcoatlus is gonna make Rexy struggle. We do see this happen in Prehistoric Planet, and this Quetzal is even bigger than that one. So yeah, I mean, we see it could do quite a bit of damage. We see it tear through metal. So you know what? Actually, yeah, it probably hurt Rexy a lot. So, but I'm gonna put Rexy struggles. I think that's pretty good. Oviraptor, too easy. I don't really see anywhere that Oviraptor. Maybe I'll put here. I don't know. Oviraptors, unpredictable creatures. So yeah. Suchomimus, I think this is probably the strongest one, or maybe Aloe is, but Suchomimus or Aloe are probably the strongest one in Rexy wins, but Rexy does win. Molophosaurus, Rexy wins. Ouranosaurus, Rexy wins. Scorpius Rex, now this one's interesting. There'll only be one Scorpius Rex, and I think Rexy definitely does win this fight. She's still bigger, she's still stronger, she's also probably the only one where her mentality takes place in. She's much more stable than Scorpius Rex is, because there's just so many creatures in their mind, and they're like so, I don't know, there's a hybrid of so many creatures, and like just a bad hybrid of it, even worse than the Indominus Rex was in terms of its like how many things were in its head. So yeah, so with the Scorpius Rex, it does have its venom and tail, which could hurt Rexy, but I think Rexy would kill the Scorpius Rex before that really turns to play. But the Scorpius Rex definitely could do damage to Rexy, could move her around, I think, get on her back and stuff, and do damage. But at the end of the day, I think Rexy is going to win, but she is going to struggle for the victory. So we have Pierce the Kentrosaurus. We do see Pierce actually fight a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I forgot if it's Big Edie or Little Edie. But yeah, and he does kind of good. It's kind of like back and forth, sort of, but I'm going to put in that Pierce loses. I think Rexy's just a bigger Tyrannosaurus Rex, so yeah, Pierce will lose that. The Tarbosaurus. I'm going to put this one in 50-50. I was thinking Rexy wins. I do think Rexy will win majority of the time, but Tarbosaurus and Rexy are just so similar in stats and everything. Not stats, but durability, strength, and stuff, and even size. But I just think Rexy is going to win. Rexy is slightly better in, I would say, everything, maybe except speed and agility, but that's not going to take too much in a fight between T-Rex and Tarbosaurus. So yeah, I think it's 50-50. I think the Tarbosaurus could definitely kill Rexy, and I think Rexy could more than definitely kill Tarbosaurus. So yeah, I'd say 50-50. Beckled Spinax. Now, I don't know anything much about them in real life, but of course it's in real life anyway. And I think from the TV show, I couldn't really gauge how big they are compared to other dinosaurs. But I'm going to put Beckled Spinax there. I don't think it's going to be T-Rex in a fight. So yeah. Majungasaurus, Rexy wins, and Chaosaur to Bumpy. Now, what I want to do is I want to bring the adult Ankylosaurus up here first. And so, Rexy versus Ankylosaurus. Now, this is a pretty interesting fight, as, of course, this is actually a fight that would happen in real life. But for the Jurassic Park version, I'm going to definitely give it to the Ankylosaurus because, well, first of all, the Ankylosaurus in Jurassic Park is much bigger than its real-life counterpart. And we do see how it just fares against the Indominus Rex even the Indominus bite wasn't wide enough to pierce the skin, or even strong enough to pierce the skin. We do see it hits the Indominus Rex really hard. Doesn't do anything, but that's because the Indominus Rex is super strong. And it actually shatters the gyrosphere. The gyrosphere. Yeah. I just think, like, I'm not even sure if Rexy would know if she could, like, or she couldn't bite through the armor of the Ankylosaurus, or at least she couldn't do it in one bite. But yeah, I think what would happen is Rexy would fight the Ankylosaurus, and maybe she would learn that she needs to target the underbelly or, like, neck of the Ankylosaurus. But I don't think she would learn that in time, or even if she did, I don't know what she can really do to counter it. So yeah, I don't think the Ankylosaurus is not going to let Rexy roll him over. So yeah, I'm going to say the Ankylosaurus wins. Bumpy. Why I have Bumpy on here, even though she's just Ankylosaurus, is because she's actually a younger version of Ankylosaurus. She's not fully grown, at least in Jurassic World, not Jurassic World, at least in Camp Cretaceous, she's not fully grown. So could Camp Cretaceous Bumpy beat Rexy? And I think she can. She's still an Ankylosaurus, she still has got armor, she's still got those plates, and even though she is smaller, I do think she still packs enough of a punch to kill Rexy, or at least very heavily injure Rexy. So yeah, and then like kill her eventually. So yeah, I think Bumpy would win that fight. Now we have the Smilodon, too easy. So yeah, very cool creature, but Rexy's gonna win. The Bradbots. Now I wasn't sure if I should add them, but I decided why not? Just more things to put on the list. So yeah, the Bradbots. Now these ones are very easy. We see, I think the kids beat them. A Velociraptor wins in a 1v1 against them. So yeah, the Bradbots are gonna go there. Now Brad X. This one's interesting. So I don't remember too much about the TV show. I don't remember too much about the Brad X's from the TV show. I haven't seen season 5 or season 4 in a long time. But what I do remember is that they are pretty durable. I think their best feat of durability is when the Spino steps on them, and it really doesn't do anything like to damage them wise. And the Spinosaurus is heavy. Spinosaurus is a big dude. But I do think Rexy could win, honestly, because I think she could maybe bite through the metal of the Bradex and defeat them. I don't even remember the Bradex taking damage at all in the series. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah. Now there's one thing. I'm not sure if this counts as a win, but I think they do have like this knockout gas that they could use, which would probably, or actually maybe even definitely, work on Rexy. So maybe you can consider that a win for Rexy, but I would say Rexy would be able to bite through him. And yeah, I think Rexy would really struggle with this guy. She's never fought anything like him, but I do think she has strong enough bite force to bite through Bradex. So yeah, Locust, too easy. And yeah, the Spinosaurus. Rexy versus Spinosaurus, or Rexy in a prime versus Spinosaurus. Who do I think would win this fight? And in my opinion, this is something that a lot of people probably talk about. In my opinion, I think the Spinosaurus wins this. And for one reason, or maybe I should say two reasons, and that is claws and hands. The claws and hands of the Spinosaurus is such an advantage over a creature like Rexy because, well, first of all, it's just another weapon it can use, but also it's a weapon it can use to grab and, like, move around and almost control Rexy in some sense. Kind of like just push or scratch at Rexy. If Rexy ever grabs or bites the Spinosaurus on the neck, he could, like, claw her and stuff, so that's going to hurt a lot. But even more so, I'm going to say it just helps with balance. We see in this fight with the T-Rex that the T-Rex would have knocked the Spinosaurus over if it wasn't for the claws. However, as the Spinosaurus knocks Rexy over, as we see, Rexy can't really get up if she's knocked over. So yeah, I'm going to give it to Spino. The claws are such a huge advantage. It's going to take a lot more for Rexy to knock the Spinosaurus over than it is going to take for a Spinosaurus to knock Rexy over. Noceroceratops. Noceroceratops, I think, is big enough and in similar enough, like, I'm not sure, range, or just similar enough to Triceratops, where I think it's basically just a 50-50 for certain reasons why Triceratops is. So yeah, just like perfectly evolved to counter T-Rex. Maybe not Noceroceratops, but Triceratops was. Sinoceratops. Now, I was going to put this guy in 50-50, but then I remembered how he did against the Carnotaurus, and he did alright, but I think if he's struggling that much against the Carnotaurus, I think he's going to lose to Rexy. Carnotaurus loses to Rexy. The Raptor Squad versus Rexy. I think this is a very interesting and even fight. The Raptors have numbers, intelligence, and agility on their side, and swiftness, although that might be the same thing. And then Rexy, of course, has strength and durability on our side. So I think it's a very interesting fight. The Raptors they would have to attack the back of Rexy or just stay away from Rexy's mouth, because if Rexy were to catch one of them, it's game over for any of the Raptors. So yeah, it's a very interesting fight. Because I think it can go either way. It really depends where the Raptors attack and, how many mistakes they make, or mainly how many mistakes they don't make. And yeah, I definitely think Rexy could win. Rexy's not dumb, of course. She does, she survived in the wild for like years, so yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna put this at 50-50. I think the Raptors could definitely win. I think Rexy could definitely win. It's really the battle. It depends how the battle plays out. So yeah, 50-50. Stegosaurus. Now, the Stegosaurus in Jurassic Park is huge, but I still think Rexy wins. It doesn't really have any protection on its head, and even if it did hit Rexy with its Sagomizer, I don't think that's going to do enough damage to deter Rexy. Because if it even just goes, I guess unless if it hit Rexy in the neck, but if it hits her anywhere else from there, I think the Stegosaurus is just going to lose. So yeah. Microceratops, too easy. The Giganotosaurus. Now, the thing is with the Giga, we do see it fight Rexy out of her prime, and I think Rexy does put up the Giganotosaurus. We actually have seen the Giganotosaurus fight Rexy herself, but that was Rexy out of her prime, and I think Rexy did a fair fight, for being out of her prime for a while. She did put up a good fight, especially since the Giganotosaurus, I'm pretty sure, is in its prime during the movie, or at least very close to it. So yeah, so what if Rexy was in her prime versus the Giganotosaurus? I think Rexy would win. Rexy, I think, has size on her side. She probably has a stronger bite force, at least I think she does, because she's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And yeah, I think Rexy's just gonna win. I think this is gonna be a very hard fight for Rexy though. Like, she's not gonna, I'm gonna put this one in teeth and claws. Rexy is definitely going to struggle a ton here, and she's just going to barely win, in my opinion. But I do think she will win. I think she just has enough things going for her that she would win the 1v1. But again, this is going to be barely a 1v1, and the Giga could win a fair amount of times in this fight. But I would give it more to Rexy. So yeah, I think it's like I would just give it more to Rexy. So yeah. The Therizinosaurus. Now, we do see that the Therizinosaurus is able to injure, or not even injure, straight up kill the Giganotosaurus. Its claws just directly pierced through the Giganotosaurus. But we do see the Giga was able actually to knock off one of the claws off the Theri. So yeah. So, Therizinosaurus versus Rexy. Therizinosaurus is definitely going to put up a threat to Rexy. It definitely has the ability to hurt Rexy, but at the end of the day, I think Rexy's just going to win. Again, the Therizinosaurus is going to have to do a lot more to Rexy than Rexy is going to have to do to Therizinosaurus. I think Rexy does win against the Theri. The Theri could definitely do a lot of damage to Rexy, but I think Rexy just wins. The Apatosaurus. Now, the Apatosaurus is a sauropod, but it's a much more sauropod than Mimetisaurus and Brachiosaurus. So, yeah, we do see it in Jurassic World. The Indominus is able to kill them. We don't see that on screen, but we just know that's what happened. And with Rexy, since the Apatosaurus it still does have size on its side, but I think Rexy's just going to be able to win. This is going to be a hard fight for Rexy, as Rexy is going to have to do a lot of damage to the Apatosaurus, and the Apatosaurus could use its size against Rexy, but I do think Rexy would win in the end. So yeah, the Indominus Rex versus Rexy. Now, we do see the Indominus Rex also fight Rexy out of her prime, and Rexy actually did put up a pretty good fight at the beginning, but we could see that the turning point in the battle was when the Indominus Rex started using its claws. The claws on Indominus Rex is even better than those on the Spinosaurus. They're longer, they're bigger, they're stronger, and we just see how it absolutely utilized them when it fought Rexy. It closed her jaw, it knocked her over, it kept her down, and yeah, again, they could be used for balance and offense. The Indominus Rex also is just, bigger, or maybe at least same size as Rexy, more durable, and probably a very close bite force to Rexy, and is just more intelligent. At the end of the day, Rexy, I think, might have weight on her side and maybe bite force, but that's it. In the end, I'm going to put the Indominus Rex in Should Stay Extinct. I don't think Rexy would ever win, or at least would very rarely win against the Indominus Rex. So I'm going to put Should Stay Extinct for Indominus Rex. Pachyrhinosaurus, another Ceratopsian, but I'm going to put in Rexy wins. Maybe it could, honestly, maybe it could be 50-50, but in my opinion, I think Pachyrhinosaurus is just 50-50. So yeah, Iguanodon. For the last one on the list, Iguanodon just goes and Rexy wins. So yeah, I don't see what Iguanodon to really do. Anyway, like I said, that is the end of the video. That is the entire list of Rexy versus Jurassic World franchise. And yeah, let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. Just be polite about it. And yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. Have a nice day, and bye-bye.